People just have heard things, like they say WhatsApp University, and they just keep parroting the same thing. Maafiveer, Maafiveer. He was not a Maafiveer.
You bring up Gandhi, who he had a difficult relationship.
We both wanted the same thing, Akhand Bharat.
Yeah.
Gandhiji also said, over my dead body. So Savarkarji, after his experience he had with the Pathan warders in Kalapani, and conversions and all that, he was really affected by that. So he put in the last clause which irks everybody, which is that this will be the land of your faith as well. This is what had actually irked Mr. Savarkar, and he came up with his Hindutva,
the book,
which is basically that from the Indus River to the sea, we are all one people. When people say, oh, he wrote Mercy Petition, he was a student of the British, why wasn't he in captivity for 27 years then?
Yeah.
If they liked him so much.
Yeah. Randeep, would you start by telling me what was your first introduction to Savarkar?
I think Kalapani and Savarkar somewhere became synonymous for me as a child.
Yeah.
But when this movie came to me as an actor, I thought I knew a lot about history. But when I thought about it, I said I don't know much about Mr. Savarkar at all.
Yeah.
So then when I did deeper research and started reading various books on it, then I realized, my God, there's so much that nobody knows, and it's been brushed under the carpet.
Yeah.
And that, in spite of my well-wishers telling me that you're just an artist, why are you getting into this, you'll become political and this and that, I said whatever it takes, because his story needs to be told.
Yeah.
And the kind of name-calling that happens in his name is absolutely unjustified, and to correct that wrong, so to speak, I then got after it with all my sincerity. And then slowly I ended up co-writing the film with Utkarsh Naithani. And then so the circumstances rolled that I was given the baton of the director as well. And then I had, taken it upon myself that I will see this to its end and bring it to people. It's taken me 2 years of doing nothing else but Savarkar, and I put everything on my online for it, whether it's emotionally, financially, physically.
Yeah.
I've committed to it, and I think that's the way I have always wanted to work.
Yeah.
And finally, I'm very glad and grateful that this is seeing the light of the day and people are going to be privy to his special story.
This research that you did for 2 years, what all have you done? Where all have you been?
I didn't go anywhere, but I read books in English, some books in Hindi. Then I spoke to a lot of my Maharashtrian friends who have written, who have read his stories and his own extent. So I read about him and I read him.
Yeah.
Which was the most interesting part, because he was a writer and such a prolific writer, and his sentences are so long and so complicated.
You have to go back and read
them. It was a great effort, but then his epochs of life, his transportation for epochs for a Hindu life, and his transportation to life, Hindutva, and many such books. And he composed 6,000 poems while he was in Kalapani in 7x11 cell, and he memorized them and then wrote them when he got out of there.
Wow!
So there was so much to material on him, and I'm wondering why is it not a part of public discourse? People just have heard things, like they say WhatsApp University, and they just keep parroting the same thing. Maafiveer, Maafiveer. He was not a Maafiveer.
Yeah.
Sam Dam Dand Bhed. If you're 26 and you're sent to 2 lifetimes, which is 50 years, the date of his release was 1960.
Yeah. Oh my God.
1960 he was supposed to be released.
Yeah.
And he was a lawyer himself.
Yeah.
And in the process of law, in the judicial process, one is allowed to make bail pleas.
Yeah.
Appealing your case.
Yeah.
And he was a lawyer himself. So he wrote these bail pleas to the British, but he was a very flowery and, very romantic writer at that time. And actually, it was Gandhiji who finally said, just make it short, to his brother, Dr. Narayan Rao, who was coincidentally lynched after Gandhiji's murder on Girgaon Chowpatty. 8,000 Brahmins were lynched in Maharashtra. So much for non-violence.
Yeah.
Right? So then Gandhiji only advised Dr. Narayan Rao Savarkar that, hey, keep it short, stick to the facts, and that's how you because Mr. Gandhi was also a lawyer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So that was his final petition, and that's how he got out. So people don't know about this.
But it's strange that you're saying, you bring up Gandhi, who he had a very difficult relationship, or a relationship. I mean, now you're saying this, that means that Gandhi helped him a lot as well.
They
Love
had
and hate.
opposing ideology,
Yeah.
and both were very stubborn about it. Both
Yeah.
were very stubborn about it. They met 3 times. One was in around 1906, 1907 in India House in London. The second one was at a restaurant on Vijay Dashmi. There was, both of them gave speeches.
Yeah.
And coincidentally, Savarkar Sahab spoke a lot about religious unity in that speech. And then in 1927, Gandhiji had visited him on one of his things in Ratnagiri when he was under house arrest. So these 3 times they met, and in fact they both were very opposite in their ideology.
Yeah.
But in the end, they both wanted the same thing: Akhand Bharat.
Yeah.
Gandhiji also said, "Over my dead body."
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So they both they started opposite, and then they came into the center to meet in the center for the one purpose, which was a united India, no unpartitioned India, and both of them were not in the government when it was finally formed.
Yeah.
After independence.
Yeah.
So it often happens. It happens in the Cuban Revolution.
Yeah.
Che Guevara was not the prime minister,
Yeah.
or any revolution all across the world. It happens that the revolutionaries fight the revolution and the politicians take over from there on.
But do you think Savarkar's was less about religion and more about nation? Yeah.
Yes, Savarkarji's was, in fact, till 1920, it was, everybody was one. But in 1920, there was a caliphate movement that happened in India from Rai Bareli to Ali brothers, they were called. From Rai Bareli, they
Ironically, it was Rai Bareli.
and no Muslim country in the world protested against the caliph, who was the caliph of Ottoman Empire, Turkey, whose powers were reduced.
Yeah.
No Muslim country spoke up except for India. And that is when the caliphate movement was started for non-cooperation. And then at that time, a lot of these Muslim leaders, especially these guys, they felt that, hey, India was a sultanate when the British had come, and when they leave they should leave a sultanate. Because they did not want to join the Congress's democratic process. Because they were a minority. So to get them involved in the Congress or in the freedom struggle to an extent to get a democracy, Gandhiji then became the president of the Khilafat movement, and thereon started the whole process of appeasing them to stay in.
Which the Congress has continued.
Yes, continued, and which was, they were given separate electorates, they were given more number of seats according to their percentage, and this is what had actually irked Mr. Savarkar, and he came up with his Hindutva,
The book.
which is basically that from the Indus River to the sea, we are all one people.
Who is a Hindu? That's what,
No matter what religion or what caste or what community you belong to. As long as you love Hind, you're a Hindu. That irks a lot of people, but that is a geopolitical, geographical definition he gave. And then people didn't get that. So then he had to describe who is a Hindu. So he said, anybody who calls this Bharat, between the river and the sea, their ancestors' land, and it's the land of their ancestors and the land of their cultural thing, which is motherland, so to speak, where the languages, food, clothes, festivals are shared. And then because of the Khilafat movement, and there was a threat of a pan-Islamic invasion from the northwest frontier province, where maximum amount of people in the British army were Muslims. So Savarkarji, after his experience he had with the Pathan warders in Kalapani, and conversions and all that, he was really affected by that. So he put in the last clause which irks everybody, which is that this will be the land of your faith as well. As long as you keep the country above your faith, about your religion, you're a Hindu, no matter what religion you are.
Yeah.
And that was his definition. It was an all-encompassing, all-uniting definition of a political ideology for freedom.
Yeah.
But here we are today.
Playing him, what did you learn most, you would say, about human spirit? And what have you tried to highlight about him the most through the movie?
It's Sam, Dam, Dand, Bhed. One should do whatever it takes once one has decided the purpose of their life. And that's what he did. And also that दुश्मन को किए हुए वादे निभाए नहीं जाते.
True.
So, and of course, I started writing.
Yeah.
I started writing. I wanted to copy his handwriting just for myself. And I started writing, and I have written some 20 short stories,
Oh, how lovely.
like for a collection of short stories.
So that's going to be next.
Yeah, probably that's going to be my next project. I have to just, rewrite them a little and, go over them, and then I'm going to probably see if any publication house wants to print them.
Yeah. But when you were shooting the parts about Kalapani, it is atrocious living there. And what feelings did you have about someone who has done that? And what can people learn from him, his stay at Kalapani?
I went there for the recce. See, we had written the whole sequences in Kalapani. And we'd seen pictures.
Yeah.
But we'd never been there.
Yeah.
When I went there for a recce, I was like, hey, how am I going to put this scene there? I've written it like this, but geography is different. So I was very much like that, and I was thinking of how to shoot a cell because it's 7x11. I didn't want to make a set of it.
Yeah.
And it was very difficult to shoot it, and the cameras have to go in and all that.
Yeah.
So I was figuring that out, and then all of a sudden I thought, hey, I'm playing Savarkar as well. So I told the team, I said, okay, guys, here's my phone. Just leave me here for some time. I want to feel what it's like to be in the cell. So they locked me from outside and went.
Oh.
And 5 minutes later, I was breathless and I felt very uncomfortable. My chest started, feeling funny. And what it must have been, no sanitation, no air.
Yeah.
You can't see anybody because all the cells face the same way.
Yeah.
I was screaming at them to come and get me out. They couldn't hear me. Those few moments of that flutter that I felt of what a soul must have gone through is what I then put as my bottom line to execute the Kalapani portions. And it was absolute torture of food, sanitation, manual labor and abuse, conversions, hangings. He had a cell right above the hanging place, so that he could see people hanging every time. So and a lot of people wrote. He himself wrote for a lot of people the bail pleas, and they all got out. Just him and his brother were not let out. When people say, "Oh, he wrote mercy petition. He was a student of the British," why was he in captivity for 27 years then?
Yeah.
If they liked him so much.
Yeah.
Because in today's terms, he would be the greatest influencer.
Yeah.
In social medias, every second post would be memes and reels about him. He was so volatile.
Yeah.
In his thoughts.
I saw the trailer where that guy says that he almost convinced me that we are wrong.
He had a great convincing power over people.
Yeah.
And he did it with quite a fervor. And he did that since he was a child.
Yeah.
He started recruiting people, little kids, to kill the British when he was a little child.
Yeah.
In his Abhinav Bharat and Mitra Mela he started first.
Yeah.
So he had this whole thing of, he read about secret societies of Europe, he read about books about Garibaldi and Mazzini, who had gone in exile and then united Italy in different provinces and then caused a revolution, became free. He was very influenced by that.
Yeah.
And the first decade of the 1900s, it was a time of secret societies sending weapons, guns back to India, meeting Lenin and getting bomb manuals, and and writing letters of mutiny to the soldiers and cooperation from the princely states and all the secret societies of Bengal, Punjab, Bombay province, Madras. They were all communicating amongst each other. It was going to be a movement that they were going to overthrow the British. And he had written a book in 1907, I think 1907 or 8 or something like that, which was like we've read in school. 1857, the Sepoy Mutiny. He rewrote it with another point of view. 1857, the first war of Indian independence. And that book that influenced people, it was banned before it was released.
Wow.
It was printed in Copenhagen. And then it was sent to India and it was widely distributed.
Wow.
And, but nobody supported them. Nobody supported the armed. Congress was a liaison body formed between the British educated Indians and the imperialists, and it was formed by a man called A.O. Hume. They did not want this. Tilak wanted this. Tilakji wanted this. He was a hardliner, but he was also sentenced to Mandalay. They always send these violent people or violent bent of mind people outside India. Kalapani, Mandalay, Yemen. And it again became a moderates Congress which did not support the armed revolution at all, calling them cowards and all that for the longest time. And then of course our whole movement turned to non-violence, which I am not bagging, by the way. I admire Gandhiji more today that I have read about Savarkarji and Gandhiji. I admire him more today because I was also misinformed about him. Like the WhatsApp University misinformed about Vinayak Savarkar. I was misinformed about M.K. Gandhi as well. But he was also a great man and he united the country in a great way. But that was a slow process, a process of little victories, whereas Savarkar felt that there's this much handful of British. We're going to kill them and scare the hell out of our country. That's the only difference between the two. In the end, they were both asking for the same thing, which is united India.
So you said that you made the movie so that people can decide if he was Veer or not. So what do you, I mean, if you just had to say, what do you want them to take away when they leave the movie halls?
That there is a bias in the telling of our history because of the dispensation of that time. The documentation has been very one-sided, detailed more than the other. One, you will feel, you will get engaged, entertained, and you will learn more things about our freedom struggle than what is available on the first look at history.
Great. Thank you. Best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.